So I thought I'd talk to you today about the business of marketing and basically what I do. And so as you know, I'm Chief Marketing Officer at eBay, and I've been at eBay for about 2.5 years or so. And my job is pretty big. I run all of global brand marketing and strategy. So what that means is, as it relates to how we position our brand and how we think about the strategy of our brand, I own all of that. And then I'm also responsible for all of the marketing that we do for North America. So I want to know, who here has heard of eBay? So that gives me comfort because globally we have about 100% awareness. So 100% of people say that they know who eBay is. But now I'm going to ask you a tough question. When you think of eBay, who here, raise your hand, if you think of auctions? Who here thinks about used stuff, collectibles, coins, dolls? Okay, now here's the tough question. When you think of eBay, raise your hand now. Do you think of brand new items with tags? Oh, I love you guys. Okay, I'll have what to do here then. This is awesome. So I'm going to talk to you about the evolution of this incredible brand called eBay. We've been around for about 17 years, and partly as my challenge as the head of marketing for North America and owning this brand strategy is help people to know exactly what you know, which is who is the eBay of today. So a lot of people still think of us as old, auction, used stuff, but they don't think of us as the brand new items with tags that you can buy right now. And so that's what I've been focused on for the past 2.5 years. So I've taught you guys a lot, so we're good. So we are the world's largest online marketplace. And it's where anyone can buy or sell practically anything at any time to practically anyone. That sounds huge, right? It is huge. It's a lot of stuff to manage. And as a marketplace, that means that we are all about connecting buyers and sellers and nonprofits. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit about what that means. So you guys know who this guy is, right? He's one of the richest men in the world. His name is Warren Buffett. For the past 10 years, we've done an auction with Warren Buffett, and every year we've raised more and more money. We raised, in 2012, $3.46 million for lunch with Warren Buffett. And those funds go to an incredible church in San Francisco called Glide Memorial. Warren Buffett's wife loved that church. She gave to that church, and when she passed away, he said that one of the things he wanted to carry on is the tradition that she did around giving to this church. You guys know who that guy is? Who's got fever in here? Right, so this is Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is a pop star, those of you who don't know who he is. Well, he decided that he wanted to auction off a lot of his hair. And he auctioned that off for $40,000. That's crazy, right? So that's the kind of stuff that happens on eBay. And it's because we have over 105 million active users. And that means that if you want a captive audience and you want to raise money for a charity that you care about, in this instance it was an animal rescue charity, you can actually use our platform to get $40,000. And so that's the part that we're trying to figure out. Because this is the stuff that keeps us a part of pop culture. I hear some eBay reference every day. Jay Leno does a whole little segment on eBay about all the weird and wacky stuff he buys on eBay. But what's interesting is, I want people to understand the new eBay, the evolution of eBay, the who we have become. This world's largest marketplace online, but also one of the biggest commerce players there are. And so a lot of what I've been focused on is how do we think about that? We have an evolving world, and as a brand, eBay has to evolve too. And what that means is that we need to understand what customers care about and ensure that we create an experience that actually matters to them. One that's all about commerce, but also about mobile commerce. Because as you guys know, we have the opportunity to shop anywhere on any device we choose, whether we want to shop at home or whether we want to be in the Starbucks line and buy something. And so what we are all about is ensuring that the experience that we deliver be it on the website or be it through mobile, is one that allows each and every customer the opportunity to have a frictionless experience, one where they get to the products that they care about. And so I'm going to just tell you a couple of facts here. So eBay Inc., which is the marketplace where I work, PayPal, StubHub, these are brands you guys know, I'm sure. In 2012, we drove $175 billion in commerce. That was with a B. That's a lot. And what you all already knew, because you raised your hands, is that a whole bunch of the stuff that we do is all focused on buying it right now and buying those brand new items. And so what we've also been really doing is thinking about those key linkages to ensure that customers can get to the things that they care about. Our business is global. More than half of our revenues actually come globally. 20% comes from cross-border trade. So that means that this is all about how do we connect people all over the world to the world's inventory. And so you say to me, what does that mean, the world's inventory? Well, eBay literally has everything. And so our jobs are to surface up that inventory so that customers can get to the stuff that they want in a very seamless way. Who knows this brand? Rue La La? So for those of you who don't know Rue La La is a company, it's a fashion company that's focused on providing luxury and top brands for consumers. And they do that in the form of flash sales. So a flash sale means that every day you get an email and you wait for that email, because that email is going to tell you what the hottest new item is at the greatest price you can get. Well, Rue La La thought about eBay, and they said, wow, they have 105 active customers. Wouldn't it be great if they had access to all of them? And so they're on our platform, which means that we can deliver a promise that we make to our customers every day, which is all about giving them the top brands that they care about at the value that they're looking for. There's another brand who I'm not allowed to actually say publicly, but they sell handbags and they sell accessories, and they also do flash sales with us. And we sold through our flash sales, and we've done 3 of them for 48 hours each, a handbag or a belt every second. So now you're like, what's she talking about? What brand is that? I'm going to let you guess. It's typically handbags, and there's C's all over them. We have the flash sales. You'll find the items at the best price brand new merchandise with tags in season. So you get it? It's all about how do you access 105 million active buyers. Who knows Monster? So being on a college campus is so awesome because you get to see what young, cool people are doing. And what I saw a lot of is kids walking, you know what the kids, young adults walking around with Beats by Dre headsets on. So you guys have heard of Beats by Dre. So Beats by Dre are kind of the hot headphone, and they were brought to you last year by a company called Monster. Monster provides the hottest electronics, and we have them, and we sold a whole lot of them. And you can imagine we sell a lot of electronics, and you can imagine that we sold a lot of electronics over the holidays. So I'll give you an example of something that is probably going to shock you maybe. My mom called me last week and she said, "Did you ever get that TV?" And I said, "Oh, I got it." And she said, "The 60-inch one?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You bought a 60-inch TV on eBay?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that's the kind of stuff that we sell every day. And people don't think about it because they run to Best Buy and they do all these things, and because they don't realize that you can get it to show up right from your front door, right from a brand like eBay. And so where we are right now is we're at an inflection point. It's a time where customers are in control. And they've always been in control, but they're even more in control. But the things that they're saying are that they want personalized experiences. make your brand relevant for me. And they want it to be easy. They want it to be simple. They want to be able to navigate in a way that gets them to the stuff that they care about. Consumers tell us, you gotta ship it for free. If you're gonna be a retailer, you gotta give me stuff for free. And so as we've evolved our marketplace, what we've been focused on is how do we make sure that we're delivering on a customer's needs. And in some instances, how are we anticipating? This guy, his name is Tilo. He's an eBay customer. And he's got a really interesting story. So Tilo was stuck on a tarmac at JFK. So this guy was on his mobile device, and he was looking at Hummers. We sell a lot of cars and trucks on eBay. And so he found a Hummer, an H1. For those of you who know Hummers, that's a pretty rare one that he found. And he hit buy it now on his mobile device while sitting on the tarmac at JFK. He bought a $130,000 truck on eBay while sitting on the tarmac at JFK. Whoa is right. You're the whoa guy, I got that. So whoa is right. We sell on a mobile device 9,000 cars a week. We sell over 400,000 auto parts a week on a mobile device. That's what we were just talking about, right? You want auto parts on your mobile device, right? So on the mobile device. Mobile's a big business for us. We took a bet on mobile early. We bet hard, and it paid out. 3 years ago, we were doing about $2 billion on mobile. In 2012, we did $13 billion. You understand, this is a transaction on that phone that you play with all day. It's driving commerce through your mobile device. It's a big, big part of our business, and it's one that's extremely important to us because customers tell us they want to be able to shop anywhere on any device, anywhere they choose. And so we really are focused on how do we ensure that we're driving an easy to use mobile experience for our customers. $400 is spent every second on mobile. These are interesting stats that I'm hoping that you guys are registering the impact that all of this has in driving commerce. And so how I think about our brand, and for those of you who realize it, we have a new logo. Did you guys notice that? So for you marketers in the room who've rebranded a company, typically that takes about 12 months, 18 months. It's the internet. So we did it in 4. That was my job. It was hard, but we did it. But it was all about the new eBay and how do we portray ourselves to our customers, our buyers, our sellers, our nonprofits, the market, the analysts, all of the folks in our community as the new eBay. This easier, simple to use, streamlined, more sophisticated. How do we do that? And that's how the new logo is. And what we're very much focused on is how do we connect our customers to the things they need and love. And a lot of what we're doing is curating the world's inventory for our customers so that they can get to that stuff pretty quickly. So I showed you that spot. That was a TV spot, as I mentioned. And that was all about this notion of not only getting you to the things you need and love very quickly, but the fact that it is available to you on your mobile device. And we spent a lot of time investing in how we communicate mobile to our customers. The other thing that I do in my world in leading marketing is really understanding our customers and the customer decision journey. And for those of you wanting to understand what the customer decision journey is, that's all about your path to purchase. How is it you get from the moment you decide you're interested in something all the way to this time that you decide that you're going to buy it, and then ultimately the piece that we marketers actually really care about is advocated for that brand. Right? Because ultimately, I want you to say to your friends and your family that you shop on eBay and you love it because. Right? That's advocating for my brand. And so we spend a lot of time understanding what are those key moments that matter in the customer decision journey and how might eBay influence those times to get you to purchase that item that you care about. But then because I'm a marketplace, I actually want you to do something else. I actually want to turn someone who buys into someone who sells. Because that actually keeps my marketplace going. And if you buy and sell, that means that you're even more and deeper engaged in my brand. And that's what I want. I want you to have that engagement with the brand. What I also want is I want to understand the things that you care about. And so in my desire and search to understand the things that you need or the things that you love, I actually just pay attention. In some instances, you tell me what you like. In some instances, you personalize your experience. You say, hey, I love Coach handbags, for instance. Or, hey, I love Callahan golf clubs. Or, whatever it might be. And when you tell me what you love, that allows the platform to actually serve up the inventory that we have for you. And we have a lot of inventory, so helping you to curate that is actually really important. The other thing that's interesting is this notion of data. And marketers are talking a lot about big data. And what big data is just all the stuff that we learn about our customers as they traverse our experience. And what we do is we learn about that information so that we can, again, help you to get to the stuff that you need. The other part is all about giving. And I showed you some of the examples, like the Warren Buffett example. eBay Giving Works is a big part of who we are. It's not something we talk a whole lot about, but it's a big part of our organization. And it's because we're all about helping nonprofits. We have about 27,000 nonprofits on our platform, and we allow our buyers and our sellers to actually donate to those nonprofits right through our platform. We've raised over $350 million for nonprofits. $350 million, which is a significant amount of money. But what's interesting is we've done it $1, $2 at a time. This is buyers donating at checkout $5, or a seller offering up a percentage of their proceeds or all of their proceeds to a nonprofit. Helping anyone, a nonprofit that does healthy drinking water or books for kids or breast cancer awareness, whatever it might be. These are nonprofits that are actually trying to save lives. And so that part of who we are as an organization is extremely important to me, and it's something that was why I gravitated to eBay when I joined the company. Putting the customer in the center of the conversation, I've spent my whole career all about that, and I shared with you how that comes to life through a customer decision journey. But when you put the customer in the center of the conversation, all of a sudden, your intent matches to your actions, and ultimately you do the right thing. And that's really what it's all about, and how you drive customer loyalty along the way. Ruthless prioritization. There's so many things that we can be doing. But when you're reinventing a brand, much like we've been doing for the past 3 years with eBay, or when you're actually just trying to manage budgets, whatever it might be, there are often things that you can't do that you might want to do. And so having a sense of how to do that and making the right calls around what not to do is just as important as figuring out what you're going to do. And then the last piece of this is really about a bias for action. You got to do what you say you want to do, and you have to actually get it done. And so making sure that you're putting, I'll use a sports analogy because a lot of guys in the room, and I didn't give you guys what you need. So putting some points on the board is so important along the way. And so making sure that you're actually making an impact is extremely important. And so what I thought I'd do is close with an example of one of the ways that we put our customers in the center of the conversation this year. We did a campaign called eBay Thanks You. eBay Thanks You was all about thanking our buyers and our sellers and our nonprofits. And we got some incredible stories along the way, because eBay is all about these amazing stories. So Michael J. Fox did one of the spots for his Parkinson's Research Foundation. Jonathan Adler, who is a major retailer and entrepreneur, did a spot, as well as a bunch of our buyers. But I wanted to show you one of the spots, which is from one of our incredible sellers from our community, who's all about not only building his business offline and online, but also about helping folks along the way. So thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for the time, and take a look, and I'll see you back during the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. The reason why I wanted to show you was the breadth and kind of depth of the brands that I have, and try to spend a little time educating you on the importance of brands, and when you manage a portfolio, how you make sure that those brands are individual, distinct, even though at the end of the day they're still the same product. At Marriott, every night we sell a good night's sleep. That truthfully is our product. So first of all, if you've ever stayed in a hotel, raise your hand. Okay, good. If you've ever stayed in any of our Marriott brands that range from Ritz-Carlton all the way down to Fairfield, raise your hands. Even better. It's like 9 out of 10. Couldn't be happier. Now, let's talk about loyalty. How many of you are Marriott Rewards members? Okay, for those who are not, I'm going to enroll you later. It is really exciting to be here with you. It reminds me of my days on campus and having outside folks come in and really tell you what's happening in the world. I will say this, I've been very, very impressed with the campus, certainly with your dean and the folks at the business school, and it is really an honor for me to be here today. My presentation is really about winning hearts and wallets. And every person in the marketing function, sales function, or operations function, at the end of the day, it's about a transaction between you and your consumer that you're trying to draw money out of their wallets, right? And it's a lot easier to draw money from someone's wallet when they have heart about your brand. And they believe your brand is more meaningful than the transaction that you represent. And I think that's the challenge for every marketer. Now what's interesting in the world that I live in with my amazing colleagues is that our job is to create experiences for customers that are 360 degrees. They can taste things, they can touch things, they can feel them. So they may come to our digital storefront to start, Marriott.com, and begin the buying process. But the experience process happens the minute they check in with a warm, friendly smile and eventually a good night's sleep. So creating experiences and warming people to your brands is different between experience-based brands and maybe something like packaged goods. All have their own challenges. So I want to take a minute to talk about what brand is. This word gets used a lot. But a brand is the living business asset that the business does not own. It is actually a symbol that elicits people's memories, feelings, and opinions. The greatest brands with the greatest value, the brand is not owned by the business. Let me use Apple for an example. There is a lot of heart and emotion around Apple with a lot of consumers. Ford is a great example. BMW. I could go through the litany of brands that people have heart and emotion for. The company doesn't own that. We want your hearts, we want your emotions, but ultimately at the end of the day, that's owned by the consumer base. So it all starts with something as simple as we call a brand promise. Every brand has a promise to consumers that they have to live up to. The minute you fail to live up to that brand promise, the likelihood of you getting that consumer back is much, much harder. When you succeed in that brand promise, you are getting their loyalty because they know that you're going to live up to the promise. Simple example, teeth whitener. How many brands of teeth whitener are out there on the shelves today? There are literally hundreds. If they don't whiten your teeth, you're never ever going to do it again. So brands have to live up to what they market, what their proof point is, as we like to call it. So this is something when you think about brands, and you should also sometimes think of your own self as a brand, I always do, but brands come down to 3 distinct areas when you're building a brand. I want to really talk to you about, first of all, the brand truth. And let's use Nike as an example. So their brand truth is really to inspire and empower their consumers. They want people to feel so good about themselves, they'll go out and run, they'll play, they'll be athletic, they'll enjoy life, and they'll do it in Nike shoes. They really want to inspire people, so "just do it" has become the tagline they've had for years. Then, there's something called the human truth. What matters to Nike and its human truth is powerful, personal victories. I did my first marathon. I watched my son play football for the first time. I was able to walk 5 miles. I've lost 30 pounds. These are very personal, very human truths that we all live to. And finally, what is their product truth? What are they really doing? It's built for athletic performance. So what's interesting about this is the product itself has to perform, but that's just the functional thing. You want the shoes to be comfortable as you run or walk or do whatever you're doing. You don't want to get calluses, right? That's the kind of the boring stuff, but it's got to happen. If you don't have boring, you can never have great. In this case, it's about the human truth and inspiring that human truth in their consumer. So when I dimensionalize all of our brands in lodging, I look at it from these 3 different examples. So, I also believe this firmly in building brands. You have to reach the highest possible human truth. When a brand just is at its very functional, transactional level, it's not good for the consumer. I guarantee you the competitor is going to do it better, and they're going to reach for your heart, and they're going to reach hard, and they're going to reach deep. An example of human truth is protectionism with mothers, which we'll talk about in a minute. Things that are so innate to who we are as human beings, when a brand can touch on that emotion, bring it to the brand, engage the consumer with that emotion, you're on your way to victory. So, let me give you some examples of human truth. Brand USA, America. The land of freedom, the land of opportunity, the land where a simple boy from Brownsville, Wisconsin can dream of something bigger than milking cows and is lucky enough to be here with you today. I think this country is founded on truth, liberty, justice. These are ideals that we hold sacrosanct as Americans. We're the greatest democracy in the world. Brand USA is a brand. Our country is a brand. And the founding principles of our country is the DNA of the brand. And it's about the human truth of that brand that we all believe in as Americans, our freedom, our democracy, that we hold sacrosanct. So even America has brand truth. Here's another example. Pampers. Pampers is not about selling diapers. Actually, when you talk to the brand manager at Pampers, it's about healthy, happy babies at every life cycle. And the human truth that elevates that brand is this: a mother protecting her child. That instinctual need to make sure my most precious asset is well cared for. My life is on the line. I will give my life for that child. There is no deeper, more powerful human truth. Let's take another example on the other extreme, the NFL. So the NFL, if you talk to my colleague over at the NFL, he'll tell you we're not in the sports business. He will say we are in the entertainment business. And we are about victory. We're about the hero. We're about the drama on Sunday afternoon. This is what our human truth is about. We're about seeing the underdog achieve. And most importantly, we're about the fans. If you look at their campaign, it's all about the fans. This great ad Bud's got out right now about those kind of things fans do to make sure their team wins. It's terrific. It's all about those human truths. So, I'll leave you with a couple more thoughts. Brand value. Rational behavior drives pricing downward. And as any business leader knows, you don't want that. You want the highest possible price for your goods. Emotions drive pricing upwards. When you are so emotional about something, you care for it so deeply, cash is no concern. Until your spouse gets into this conversation. So, let's talk about two brands. Let's talk about a Prius. Fabulous brand. It's relatively inexpensive. You get amazing gas mileage. It's really, really good for the environment. You can feel good driving it around. You're doing more than just driving your car. It's easy to navigate. It's got some just what I need kind of bells and whistles. Now there is an amazing brand. On the other side, there is this thing called the Ferrari. It's completely impractical. It's very, very expensive. It's usually a boy toy that never leaves the garage, and the insurance costs usually more than the life of the car over the next 10 years. There is absolutely no practical reason you need a Ferrari to get to point A to point B. A Prius will do the trick. But let's be honest, men think this is a chick magnet, okay? So this is about the human emotion of cash doesn't matter. I just checked my brain out and gave you my wallet, right, to have a Ferrari. So great marketers, great salespeople, great business leaders are all trying to sell Ferraris at Prius prices to build. So, rational versus irrational. As you proceed through your business life, think about the moments when things are very rational and see how you feel versus when they're completely irrational. When you're on a job interview, you want the person who interviewed you to be irrational about you. Like, I'm the best candidate, they were amazing. The student came in, they were well prepared, they had lots and lots of experience, they did lots of internships, I just couldn't believe it, they were professional. That's not, wow, they had a 4.0 GPA, okay? That's what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to that irrational behavior with people. So, let's talk about a few other things. Ladies. Talked about men, a little football, I don't want to generalize here, but ladies, the little blue Robin's Egg box with the white ribbon. Look at you all smiling, you know, you're feeling good. You're like, honey, I want that so bad, 4th of July. I mean, Valentine's Day is just around the corner, you better be thinking this way. I hear a lot of people texting their boyfriends right now. So, this is a brand that's important to think about. Because what this brand does, a good brand, a great design, must be timely and timeless. By that I mean it's always relevant, it's there just when you need it, and it never ever fades away in the brand life. Nothing is more important to a brand leader than to have a brand that the customer engages with life. American Express is a great example. What does it say? A member since 1962. That's a big, big part of them, right? Timely and timeless, the card is always relevant, and it's with me all the time. Harley Davidson. Another brand I love. This is a brand people love so much, they're so emotional about, they tattoo it to their arm. Right? If anyone wants to do tattoo, I can do that later. Let's keep it clean right now. But the point is, I'll tell you a quick story. I used to work in the Harley Davidson business. And at one point in the mid-'80s, they were experimenting with the engine. It has that like, they thought, oh, that might be a little noisy. There's this thing called noise pollution. So they took down that noise, and suddenly sales plummeted. Their consumers were crazy. Their tribe of Harley riders said, no way, I don't want a Kawasaki that goes, right? That emotion of the is what people were buying, right? So, very important to understand your brand in all the dimensions, not just what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, everything about it for you. So, I will leave you with a little thought here. The great design must be authentic. At the end of the day, and specifically Gen Y consumers know when something's a fake. If you're not real, it's not moving your heart, it doesn't come out through your brand, consumers will sniff that out in a heartbeat. So what a great brand must do is create demand. And that ad and great advertising can create demand. So get to the emotion, and then you're going to get to the wallet.
How does Marriott win in the crowded space of lodging?
That's a great question. It's tough. Any business has a lot of competition. And in my business, it's a real estate business. You have to build an asset hotel. We manage them or brand them. We don't necessarily own them. So there's a huge financial risk, and it's really a big barrier to entry for a lot of owners and investors to get into the space. And there are literally hundreds and hundreds of hotel brands around the globe that I interact with all the time. And how does Marriott keep its nose ahead? I think it's two things. I think first and foremost, we will always, always, always listen to our customers. The minute you stop listening to your customers and really, shields down, take what they give you, whether you like it or not, is when you begin to fail. Indifference is the first step to failure. And secondly, I would say it's our chairman, Bill Marriott. The values of our company are so important to us that even in the worst economic times, we hold firmly to them and they get us through the tough times. And a company that doesn't have well-articulated values and a mission and a vision and a reason for being besides the transaction, but more what it does for the world, I'm always suspicious of, frankly. So those are the two things.
Rochelle, what are the challenges or considerations that global brands must evaluate when managing multi-channel marketing efforts?
So I talked a little bit about this earlier and in my talk a moment ago around understanding the customer. And as you guys know, we live in an ever-evolving world where customers really have a lot of control of the experiences they want to be a part of. And capturing a customer's attention is more and more difficult. There's so many brands that are out there, and so part of our job as marketers is to cut through the clutter. And in doing so, we have to make sure that the product is actually a product that people want to engage with. And so, at its foundation, we have to ensure that we build trust, that we have selection, and that we are open to new ways of thinking. We also have to think about personalization and driving engagement and ensuring that we're creating the experience that people want. So you talked about this notion of emotion. eBay is a very passion-based brand. That's what I call it. Because people love us, and it's crazy some of the things that you see and feel. And then there are people who get angry at us. And it's really because they want us to be better. And so we have to understand, and to Ryan's point, listen to what our customers tell us. And the experience that you see today on our site is all about our customers and what they've told us. They've told us the areas where we need to get better. They've told us that they need to be able to connect with us more than just the site. And they've told us about ways to think about streamlining and making the experience easy. And so all of that is because we actually listen.
Yes.
And putting the customer in the center of that conversation is how it all begins.
I had a joke with Brian that some people think strategy is so boring. So our whole motto for the company this year is strategy is sexy. So we're going with that. And so kind of with that in mind, it's interesting to watch the nuances between your two brands that are completely different, but at the heart of it, you're really talking about people. And one of the things that I really try to impress upon students when I get an opportunity to come and share is that regardless of whether or not you're B2B or B2C, at the end of the day, we're P2P. So we're people doing business with other people, people caring about other people. And it's really important as a brand to open yourself up to the perspectives of all kinds of people and not think that just because you're the person leading the strategy that you always have the answer. Because sometimes the answer is sitting right there and the customer knows it and we don't know it. And then the space between us can be this wide or it can be just that crossing of the line. So thank you very much, both of you. I'll start here and then I'll go over there. Your question, please.
My name is Terrell White Jr. I'm a recent marketing graduate from NCCU. My question is for you, Ms. Farms. You mentioned that eBay has been in business for about 17 years, correct? Now, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I definitely don't remember anything about eBay in 1996. So my question is, I don't remember anything about eBay in 1996. Is my math right? Maybe a little off. But so you guys started around that time. What was the formula for success that helped take you guys from a company of relative obscurity to now the worldwide leader in e-commerce?
We were one of the first online commerce brands. We were actually one of the leaders. We were there before Amazon was there. And so we had our heyday. And then there was a period of time, to be frank, where we stopped paying attention. We thought the platform was good enough. And we relied on the marketplace to drive the experience. But as I mentioned earlier to a different group, we could be considered the first social network. So if you think about the marketplace, it's about bringing buyers and sellers together. They actually create a dialogue, they do a transaction, and then they give each other feedback, public feedback. And so what happens with that feedback is that actually starts to permeate. And so what we realized is that our platform actually wasn't good enough, and that we weren't driving the experience that we needed to drive, not only to take our business to the next level, not only to keep the promise to our shareholders, but also just to ensure that our customers got to what they needed. And so we spent about 3 years focusing on getting the platform right. That means that we did a bunch of test and learn. That means that we did a bunch of qualitative and quantitative research. And it means that we stopped and listened to what our customers had to say. And during that time, from a marketing perspective, we continued to do marketing, things like search engine optimization and search engine marketing and things like that. But we didn't bring a real public face to the company. And then about 2 years ago, I joined a company that was in a turnaround. So you can imagine what my interview process was like. Hey Rochelle, our stock price has gone down. Our investors are a little frustrated with us. Our community is also frustrated with us. But we believe that this is the best company in the world, and we believe that we can be an e-commerce leader, and we need you to join us during the turnaround. There's a sell. Well, I joined because I actually believed the leaders actually had a plan that made sense to me. The strategy was sexy.
There you go.
And that strategy is what brought us to where we are today. And so as you think about the platform and the experience we have, as you think about the fact that we have grown our customer base tremendously, we're at 105 million active users, and you think about all that we've been able to accomplish, that said to the organization, it's actually time to invest. And so what we did is we leaned back in. And we did marketing. We did very, very visible marketing. So we got back on TV. We got back in print. We did a whole bunch of things that are all about driving awareness and driving consideration of your brand. And the last 2.5 years have been unbelievable. We've had 4 straight quarters of insane numbers that the analyst community loved, and it paid off in our stock price. And you can imagine that we have a whole bunch of people who are really happy that there's a part of this brand. But our sellers and buyers are actually there too, because the sellers, this is their platform. This is how they make money. And so when they see us focusing in on our platform and caring about the things that drive their business, they actually lean into and bring more selection. So those are the key things that we did over the past really 3 years to bring us from a place where the analysts were going to write us off and they said, hey, focus on that PayPal thing, to where we're back to being the darlings of Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And just to touch on what you just said as far as about taking that information. Now, you had mentioned, Mr. King, just a minute ago about being able to collect the data, and I think both of you mentioned it, from the market. So after you extract that information, what's the process behind taking that knowledge and then extrapolating upon it and put it through a plan of action? Like, what does that look like?
You know, first of all, extracting the knowledge can be done in a lot of interesting ways. Simply listening to your online communities. We do something called ethnography, where we actually go into people's homes and we study the way they behave, what they do, and how those behaviors might relate to the hotel business. And then we also do, focus groups and samples. There's all ways to get the insights. What's most important during that insight phase is to believe what they're saying. Even the best marketers want to put up a shield and say, oh, the customer doesn't understand. The minute you do that, you're dead. So once you get the real consumer insights, I'll give you a simple one. When we were designing some of our Marriotts, we learned this consumer insight that the laptop is the center of the business traveler's life. Not that big of a discovery, but no one really had articulated it that way. But once you articulate something like that, when you go to an architect, a designer, a marketer, how do you start to communicate? We understand that's important to you, but we're not going to start to build chairs that have plugs in them, right? We're going to make sure the wireless always works. We're going to market free wireless on television. So taking it from your point, the point of consumer insight, to the point of execution and consumer awareness, truthfully, it's about rigor and discipline and kind of sacrifice for focus. I loved your being rigorous about prioritization. I mean, you can't do it all, so do the critical few and do them really, really well.
We do ethnographies as well. I've sat in many of people's family rooms and bedrooms, watching them on eBay and seeing how they traverse the site, because it's important for us to see how they're actually doing it versus the way we think they're doing it, and collecting all of this data. The challenge as marketers is how do you turn that data into an insight? There's a whole lot of data out there, but if you actually can't turn that into an insight, really understand what you're learning from it, you will get nowhere. And so getting that insight is critical, because that's how you actually start to make some of your business decisions. And how, when building out a marketing strategy, that strategy is first on kind of what are the key things that we know? What did the customer tell us? And what does that mean? And then from there you say, okay, Is there a way for us to address that need? Is there an unmet need that we are seeing in these insights that the customer didn't even mention? And then how do we actually craft a story that actually meets the customer where they are? So I talked about the customer decision journey. That decision journey is all about how they're going to get to purchase. But it's those insights along the way that help us. So it helps me to understand, should I be thinking about communicating with them through social media? How do I think about internet marketing, like search engine marketing? How do I think about mobile and other channels? And so all of that comes together, but it starts with the insight. But what's so critical is that data and insights are different things.
Absolutely. What's the most important thing a brand marketer must win at in today's competitive world?
Talent. People you work with, not the people you manage. I don't manage anyone. I work with a lot of people. That's sacrosanct to my mind. The best talent you can possibly find. They're the most collaborative, the most understanding, and the most emotive and passionate about the jobs that they're in. So, as a marketer, I always start there and make sure that I can't go to an ad agency with a really poorly written creative brief that doesn't have not just the data but the insights. Otherwise, I'm not going to get good creative on that side, right? So making sure your team as marketers is really, really working hard and diligently around the few critical insights that are different from your competitors and that will be meaningful to your consumers. So talent and then insights and action.
And speaking of insight and being able to understand what the customer says, both of your brands are very large. How would you recommend for smaller businesses or new businesses that don't have the tools to do these ethnography studies and things like that? How would you recommend the little guy go out and start learning how the customer thinks about something and where they don't have those tools already set in?
Brian, when Brian and I met earlier today, he said that he loves eBay. And I said, what do you buy or sell on eBay? Whenever I meet someone and they say anything about eBay, the first thing I want to know is, do you buy or do you sell, and what is it? Because that gives me a lot of insight into who they are. The other thing that happens is people just want to talk. People actually want to tell you what their experience is. People want to tell you if something was great, and people want to tell you if it sucked. And they'll give the information very freely. And so whether you have a big budget to do research, or whether you have no budget at all, you can really start out by just asking questions. Figure out who your customers are, and just find them where they are, and just ask the questions.
And then add on to that, observation. Never, ever, ever underestimate the power of observation. And I'll give you a quick story. Our company was founded in the restaurant business in 1937, and so-called hot shops for people on the East Coast might have heard it.
Yes.
And so Mr. and Mrs. Marriott started a 5-seat root beer stand and grown to this huge company. Well, we're in the restaurant business, was a core competency, and one day Mr. Marriott was at the National Airport in DC, and he noticed that people were always stopping at his hot shop, and they were asking for a bag. They'd get a sandwich and a bag, and they'd go on the plane. He thought, that's interesting. Well, in-flight catering did not exist at the time. So Marriott created the first in-flight catering company and was the largest. So a simple observation by there's a need that's not being met for these consumers. How can I meet that need? Something as a paper bag and a sandwich, but having that kind of put your shields down. Why is this happening? What's the need? A lot of people have overlooked that, and a multi-million-dollar business popped up because of it. No research budget. Glasses.
That gets overlooked. We live in a world that is so very digital. We can touch something, we can say something, but do you think that we discount the simple picking up a phone call or the simple paying attention because we're so used to people throwing something at us? Do you think we have forgotten how to do things simply just by asking and observing?
I think it depends on what part of the business you're in.
Okay.
I mean, we're publicly traded companies. We love our CFOs. We need to make sure our shareholders are happy. The work that we do is what I call soft capital. Advertising, marketing is part art, part science. So I think that you've got to balance that art piece with the science piece. You know, a lot of people talk about big data, which is really, really important, but if you can't get the insight out of it, the heart, it doesn't matter. You could, in today's day and age of technology, it's very easy to forget about the simple things, but they're certainly the most powerful.
Would you agree?
I do agree, and it's so funny. So I talk to my team a lot about this notion of, you said art and science, I call it heart and head.
Oh, okay.
So marketing is all about heart and head. It's all about the things that you know because you gleaned it from someplace, from a customer or from experience or data or wherever it is. So that's the head part of it. But the heart part of it is kind of just doing what's right and understanding what's the right thing to do based on the environment that you're in. And it's the marrying of those two, the heart and the head, that drives the winning experience. If you lean in any one direction, it makes things pretty tough. And where I come from, eBay is a highly, highly analytical environment. I have engineers all over, everywhere surrounding me. You know, if you think about, you know, a 7,000-person engineering organization and, you know, a 170-person marketing organization, you understand that the heart part actually really does matter.
When I think of eBay, I think of the ultimate category killer as far as a company. You guys have, like you said earlier, 105 million different consumers, whether they be buyers and sellers. But one thing that I know about marketing and products is that you really also have to know who you're selling what to. So my question for you is, how do you devise a strategy to market to your different consumers when it can be, someone may love sneakers, which is what I buy on eBay, or action figures, or it may go something as complex as car parts or Coach bags. How do you differentiate the marketing strategy for those multiple different consumer focus levels?
The question was, Rochelle, you have 105 million active users. You didn't say it this way, but I'm going to say it. How do you actually market to every single one of those? That, you know, that seems like an impossible, daunting task. And the fact is, it is, and I don't. Right? So my budget doesn't allow me to do that. There are things that I can communicate to my whole community, but there are things that I actually want to pinpoint to a particular person. And so as a marketer, what you try to do, what we all try to do, is actually have a dialogue with you versus trying to have a dialogue with everyone. And the problem is that I can't always do that, have that conversation with that single person. So I often try to find people like you. And what that means to me on the eBay side is I actually focus on enthusiasts. I focus on shopping enthusiasts. I focus on people who care about shopping, who like shopping. So you men in the audience are all like, I don't like to shop. Well, you do. You just don't call it that. So women own up to the fact that they like to shop, and we say we're going shopping. Men, you guys like to kind of browse. You kind of just like look around at different things. That's actually shopping. And so, so what I focus on are shopping enthusiasts, and I focus on the collector, like someone who's a sneaker enthusiast, or someone who collects dolls, or someone who collects golf clubs, but I also focus on the fashion enthusiasts or the electronics enthusiasts or the parts and accessories enthusiasts. And I really hone in on those particular categories, and I map a strategy to those folks that I know care about those categories. The other thing I do, however, is we have to figure out the brands that they actually care about. And so a lot of what we do is bring a bunch of brands onto the platform. So I'm going to tell you a secret, you sneaker enthusiast. We sell more Nikes than Nike. Do you understand how, you know how many sneakers we have on there. We have a lot of sneakers. And so my job is to help a sneaker enthusiast to understand that we have a whole lot of sneakers. But then what will happen is you get frustrated because you come there and we have millions upon millions of items. And so then you say to me, well, what do I do with that? And so what we also have done through the platform is giving you the opportunity to personalize that experience. So I need to know the types of things that you care about so that I can help you to personalize it. So you can go in and say, I care about Nikes and I care about Converses. I only want vintage, and I've been looking for that vintage Michael Cooper sneaker. Someone came up to me and said, Michael Cooper, ex-Laker, WNBA coach, made a sneaker through Nike. Do you have it? Well, guess what we do? We don't have a whole lot of them, but we do. And so how do I get you to the sneaker that you actually care about? And so you're right, I can't market to the whole universe, but I can market to the enthusiasts, the folks that I know that care about shipping.
With the growing threats of the internet, like fake internet profiles, viruses, money scams, how do you reach out to the general population who have not only never shopped online, but are hesitant about the fact that the product that they may buy, they may not be involved?
There are so many scams and all kinds of things that happen online, and how do you combat that? That's huge. That's a huge part of any online business's equation. It's actually a huge part of any business's equation. The things that are table stakes for us, though, are value, trust, and selection. And so I need for you to trust that the experience that you have is one that protects you. And so what we've done is actually we've created 2 programs. One is called eBay Buyer Protection, which is basically our way of saying no matter what you do on our platform, we've got your back. And that means that we will reimburse you your funds, we will talk to a seller on your behalf, whatever it is, right? Because we don't own the inventory. I don't own any inventory, and I'm not actually making the sale. You're actually making a sale with another human being. And so, but you need to know that you can trust that I've actually got your back in those experiences. On the flip side of that, so we spent a lot of time on our program that was for our buyers to ensure that you had a reason to come back and you knew that you could trust the experience. But our sellers said, but they're bad guys, they're buyers too. Like, what about them? Like, they rip us off all day. And so we actually have done the same thing on our seller side, which has created a platform for them and also gotten there to make sure that they know that we have their back. The notion of trust is something that every brand deals with, but it's table stakes. It's something that you have to come to the table with, because if you don't, your brand will fail pretty quickly.
We have customers who buy our timeshares, and they're going to pass them on to generations of their families. So trust is sacrosanct. I mean, think about it. You're sleeping in a city you've never traveled to before, in a foreign town, in a not your own bed. You gotta trust us that you're going to sleep in the same.
My name is Nikki. I'm a double major in visual communication and marketing. And my question is a simple one. Do you guys have any advice or tips for us college students so we can become successful once we graduate?
Understand other people's journeys. You can learn so much from the people that you come in contact with. And often the questions that I have, and I do a lot focused on women and women in leadership, is all about kind of how do I help these women? And they all ask me the same question. Number one, what was your journey? What was your experience? Who helped you along the way? How do I negotiate for myself? And how do I self-advocate? These are the things that women typically ask for. And men often want to know, like, what was your journey and who helped you? And what is it that I need to do? And so the first thing I'd say is just listen. There are a lot of people that you'll be exposed to throughout your experiences, and just understand what they did and how did they get to where they are and the experiences that they have. The other thing I'd say is I think of it as a toolkit. We're all kind of building our toolkit, and I haven't finished building my toolkit. And you have to think about the key things that you're going to learn along the way. And some of those will be stepping stones to your next opportunity. Some of those will just complement the opportunity. But the fact is, every day is a learning experience. And some things will be a negative learning experience, but hopefully most will be a positive experience. And those things are the things that you take with you wherever you go. And then it's something that I mentioned earlier is this notion of mentorship and sponsorship. These 2 points are extremely important, and they mean very, very different things. A mentor is someone you talk with. There's someone that gives you guidance and feedback and suggestions, and there's someone that you can share with. A sponsor is someone who talks about you. They put you in the conversation when you're not there. So they're the person who says, yes, I support that promotion, or yes, I think this person should be at our organization. They're the person who is advocating for you, and you may not even know that they're doing it. And so building relationships along the way are critical, because you don't know who your next sponsor might be. And you don't know who's talking about you while you're standing right here.
That I could not agree more. A couple things I might add. You know, it's about the brand of you at the end of the day. I very clearly remember sitting in an auditorium just like this in March before I graduated with the whole world in front of me, not knowing exactly what I was going to do, truthfully. Never ever, you're going to interview for jobs or have experiences that may not be positive, or may not work out the way you wanted them to. Don't let someone take your power away from you. The most important thing is you. I mean, you're incredible people, you're here, you're advancing yourself. Never lose sight of that. The most important thing you have is your education at the end of the day. I truly believe that. And make sure you take risks. If there are things that look too big, that's okay. Try. Nothing is too big. There's so many experiences I had that were completely out of my wheelhouse. I wasn't educated in them, and I was thrown into them, or I actually went after them in a couple instances. And people are like, wow, we're surprised. He doesn't know anything about this, but he really wants to do it. So take risks. It's okay to fail. Fail, I would say fail forward. You know, a lack of failure is a lack of trying, and a lack of trying is a lack of success.
Can I just add one more point? And I apologize for doing this. It's something, I've talked about this a lot, and if you've seen any of my talks, I talk a lot about a personal board of directors. And I've had a personal board of directors now for about probably 6 or 7 years now. And my personal board of directors it's exactly that. So if you imagine, you know, a CEO has its board of directors, the CEO looks to the board of directors to give them kind of thoughts, feedback, advice, suggestions along the way. My personal board of directors is exactly that for me. So if you imagine I'm the CEO of my career, like I'm the only person that's going to care about my career as much as I do, and so I need to take control of that. But I have people that I surround myself with, it's actually 5 people, and I go to them when I need help to solve a particular challenge. So I went to my personal board of directors when I decided to go to Visa and join that organization. I went to my personal board of directors when I decided to join eBay. I went to my personal board of directors when I joined the board of the Scripps Network. So these are the people who know me. They know the things that I care about. They know the things I'm good at. They know the things I'm not so good at. And they are fighting for me. And they want good for me. And so I look to them for advice and feedback. I don't always take their advice, but it's an input to all of the things I need to understand so that I can make the best and right and smart decision for me in my career.
I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom, your insight, the nuggets that you were able to share with everyone, and particularly for myself. I do have a secret that I have to tell you, Rochelle, that nobody in the room knows that I'm about to tell you. It's an eBay secret. So when I got married to my husband, George, I bought my wedding dress on eBay.
Thank you, that was wonderful. What a great conversation.
So thrilled to be here at NCCU and to be a part of the Global Speaker Series. I was so impressed with not only the caliber of the students and the caliber of the program, but also impressed with the questions that were asked and just how excited the community is about kind of developing the next future business leaders in this country. And so thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for welcoming me to what is a beautiful, beautiful campus on a gorgeous day. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of it, and I look forward to spending more time with you. Thank you.
My name is TJ Breeden. I'm the chairman of Emerging Entrepreneurs Incorporated. We're a nonprofit based here in Durham that provides small business training to veterans. Tonight was a big night for North Carolina Central University. As an entrepreneur, small business owner, the information that was provided was tremendous, particularly in terms of branding and marketing for a nonprofit. There's a lot to learn in terms of how to market yourself to the community, in terms of the value that you offer, as well as what you hope to do for those that are in need. So tonight was a big night. I'm glad to have been given the opportunity to participate.
Joel Bush from Shoebox. For me personally, this was a great opportunity to really kind of see marketing and branding and messaging from a large company point of view and understand, you know, how big the brushes are that they're trying to paint their story with, and really understand, particularly from Brian at Marriott, understand what goes into his thought process as they're coming out with new campaigns and building brands for the different properties that they have. And so I'm going to go back tomorrow and try to figure out how to apply those things at Shoebox.
I'm a marketing student, so I found tonight to be very fulfilling. 2 high-level executives to come right here on North Carolina Central's campus. I mean, it was an event that can't be missed by any serious marketeer. They were very, well-versed on their fields, very insightful, and, it's just great to be able to have such big names right here.
One thing that I have actually, I would be taken back because I work with consumers, both external and internal, that you need to give a patient hearing to your clients. So it can be just asking the right question or going back with the big data, but the key factor is you need to listen to your consumer.
I'm Ann Camden. I'm with Gibbs & Selp Business Communications, and I think the thing that I learned tonight is really just that focus on connecting the heart and the head, and how to bring that emotional appeal into products and brands that aren't always necessarily a emotional buy, and what that might mean for our clients.
If you do a lot of marketing research, you use that research to understand what drives the purchase decision for different types of consumers. Once you have that information, you can use that to then influence future purchase decisions. That therein encompasses everything that marketing is about. It's a simple 1, 2, 3 process. Marketing research to understand why do people buy what they buy. Once you understand that, you then use it to influence future decisions. That is how a firm makes capital. So marketing is not just a part of business. Marketing essentially is the business. And that perhaps is the greatest takeaway that I got from this seminar tonight.